went back. She's one of our penguin keepers. She went back with a big bucket of fish. So not only are they going to get a few snacks this afternoon, but they also are going to be seeing their vet today. So you might see Abby and the vets go in and out just to pick up some of the birds, happen to go around back for their exams. So this is something we do every week, usually every Monday. So you'll see quite a bit of activity behind me here. But we're going to talk a little bit about what makes penguins birds and what makes penguins different from typical birds like we think of. So I have a little penguin model here with me. So penguins, we all know, are black and white. They have a black back and typically a white belly. And this coloration is used for what we call counter shading. So it's a type of camouflage. So when a penguin is swimming, if an animal is looking above, they're going to see that black back blend in with the ocean floor. And if a penguin is swimming above the predator is down below, they're going to look up and they're going to see a white belly that's going to blend in with the sunlight coming from above. So that counter shading is really going to help them to defend themselves from predators, kind of make them almost invisible, but also help them sneak up on their prey, which is mostly fish for our penguin species. Now, penguins also are a little bit different from birds that we see outside because of their bones. So birds that we're familiar with are going to be flying around through the air, but we're all familiar with penguins not being able to fly through the air. Instead, they swim through the water. So you can, oh, there's not really too many swimming behind me now. They were swimming a lot earlier. But the reason for that is because they have solid bones. So the birds outside have hollow bones. They're very lightweight. If they were to land in your hand, you would almost barely feel them. They would feel like just a bunch of paper clips in your hand. But penguins have solid bones, and one way that we can demonstrate it is by testing some bones. So I have a couple examples of bones here, and we're going to find out if it belongs to a bird that is a flying bird, or if it's a bird like a penguin that has those solid bones. So one way you can do this, if you're out on a nature hike and you do find some bones, you can find a thing of water. You can put the bones in the water. So you see that one sunk right to the bottom. That's probably either a mammal or another animal that has those solid bones. Whereas this one is mostly going to be floating. So that could have possibly come from a bird species. So that's one way that you can find out about bones that you might find on a nature walk. Now, we mentioned the black and white feathers that penguins have. So just like birds, they are covered in feathers. Only penguin feathers are very, very small. They're very tiny. I have some right here. So those feathers have two layers to them. So they have a soft, downy layer, the white that you see, and then the contour layer of those black ends of those feathers that keep them nice and waterproof. They act like a wetsuit over the penguins. And then the downy part underneath keeps them nice and warm. It's like having a wool sweater underneath your rain jacket, so that you're not only waterproof, but you're also nice and warm. So you'll notice their feathers are very, very small. They have some of the most densely packed feathers of all bird species, and they'll have over 70 feathers per square inch. Now, birds that we see outside are going to have much larger feathers, so those are going to be helpful, especially when flying. So birds will use those long feathers for flight. So think of it like an airplane. They have really long wings that help them get up, so this provides them with some lift. I think we had somebody jump in the water there. Now, another thing that makes penguins birds is that they lay eggs for their young. So we recently had some penguin chicks hatch, and when they hatched, they came out of eggs about this size. So you can kind of see right next to my hand there, it's a bit larger than your chicken egg you might buy at the store. Some of us might compare it to one that has a double yolk. So Humboldt penguins will lay eggs about this size, but some other penguin species can lay eggs much bigger. So this is an example of a king penguin egg. So king penguins are bigger than Humboldt penguins. They're not the largest species. The largest species would be emperor penguins, which are about 4 feet tall, give or take. And I'm 5 foot, so they probably come about to my shoulders for that species, just to give you guys a little bit of comparison. But the emperor penguins are a little bit smaller, probably closer to about 3 feet. And this would be the size of their egg. So obviously bigger penguins will lay bigger eggs and have bigger babies. And like other birds, they do have beaks as well. So we can see a penguin skull. This is from a Magellanic penguin, very closely related to our Humboldts that we have. But you can see it's attached to their skull. It's part of their skeleton, and it's made out of the same material as our hair and fingernails called keratin. And just like our hair and fingernails, those beaks are constantly growing. So one of the things that our vets will do during the vet exam is make sure that they're not growing too much and make sure it's not interfering with how they eat and how they catch their fish. So just like our fingernails, if their beaks get a little bit too long in some spots, we can just take some nail clippers and give them a little bit of a trim. And then again, bigger penguin, bigger skull, and a bigger beak. So this would be from a king penguin as well. So you can see how those beaks are attached to that skull. And here you can actually see some of those nasal passages. So they are birds. They do breathe air just like we do. They have lungs, so they do have nasal passages as well. And one cool fact about penguins is they not only use their nostrils for breathing, but they also use it to sneeze out extra salt. So because they swim in the oceans, and because they can't really drink salt water, or they can drink salt water, but they have to process it a little bit differently, they can actually sneeze out that excess salt through those nasal passages called the supraorbital gland. And one thing that we do like to mention is that all penguin species will be found in the southern hemisphere, so the southern half of the earth. And this is something that a lot of people might get a little confused about because we're used to seeing commercials from Coca-Cola that has those polar bears and penguins, but you would definitely not be seeing that out in their natural habitat. One predator that penguins don't have to worry about would be those polar bears. Polar bears live in the northern hemisphere, where penguins live in the southern hemisphere. But penguins can be found from just south of the equator on the Galapagos Islands, all the way down towards the Antarctic Circle and the continent of Antarctica. So they can be found in very warm tropical climates, they can be found in desert areas, they can even be found in urban areas or jungles. So not just the ice and snow like what we usually think of with penguins, but they can live in a variety of different types of habitats. So I'm going to take a pause, see if we have any questions. No questions? Well, I love talking about penguins, so I'm definitely game to talk about them a bit more. So we see Abby coming in to it looks like she got Gannon for her vet visit today. Now another thing that we like to talk about is their diet. So the reason that penguins live in the southern hemisphere is because they rely on those southern waters for their food source. So the penguins will swim in ocean currents. Our penguins get their name Humboldt Penguin because they swim in the Humboldt Current. It comes from Antarctica, and it sweeps up along the western coastline of South America. And that's where these guys are going to be getting their food from those cold ocean currents. Cold ocean water holds a lot of oxygen. It provides a lot of nutrients for fish to grow and thrive, and therefore provides lots of healthy fish for penguins to eat. So that's one of the reasons why they're really found only in the southern hemisphere, is just because that's where the really good fish and the really good food source is.
No questions.
All right. Well, if you guys do have any questions, be sure to leave a comment on our Facebook page. But don't forget to check out the activity that's going to go along with today's video. Some pretty cool activities to do with penguins, what makes them birds, and some other fun activities. And of course, don't forget to keep following us on our Facebook Live videos at 2 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And check out our website and our Facebook page for more details. And of course, we do appreciate your support and all your help while we are closed, but still caring. So thank you guys, and we'll see you all next time.